Hello everyone, welcome back to Total Football Talk. So I am on my second recording. I did the whole video and I completely balls it up, and yeah, I didn't record it. What an idiot. Okay, let's try again. Good morning, welcome back to Total Football Talk. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Keith, the host of this little channel, and we will look at all the latest news coming out of Manchester United. And as always, like a tap, we just turn ourselves on and we never stop running, and we can't turn it off. So we'll we'll go into the top stories, and the top stories are: there's a mass exodus of players that are going to be leaving. I'll go through them, and then you can kind of give me your thoughts and feelings on what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there people on that list that shouldn't be there? Are there people on that list that you feel should be there? Hit me up. We're going to have a look at what Omar Barada has said about the stadium. We'll look at what Kieran Maguire is talking about in terms of how this stadium's going to be funded and how they're going to finance it. We'll also look at what Professor Rob Wilson has said about the naming rights of the stadium, and we will look at what's happening in Stretford End tonight, and then we'll look at a little bit of news in regards to new players coming in from South America and the South American market, and where Manchester United are with that. So let's jump into the top story. And Manchester United are set for a major overhaul of the squad in the summer. As many as 8 players could leave, and those 8 players include Anthony, Sancho, Rashford, Casemiro, Eriksen, Evans, Heaton, Lindelof, and Mount. Okay, so from that list, I'll just quickly rattle through it. Anthony, we have to sell. Sancho, we have to sell. Rashford, we have to sell. Casemiro, we have to sell. Eriksen's on a free. Heaton's on a free. Lindelof's on a free. Mount is the kind of unknown quantity in amongst all this. I think you could add Luke Shaw to that list. But tell me your thoughts, tell me your feelings. What do you think about those players and that particular list? As I said, Evans will, come to the end of his days and he will walk out because his contract's up. Lindelof's contract's up. Mason Mount is obviously a bit of a conundrum. The others, Anthony, Sancho, Eriksen will also leave on a free. Casemiro, Rashford, Anthony, and Sancho all have to find a way to be sold. Is Sancho going to end up coming back to Manchester United because of the loopholes in Chelsea's system? Chelsea love a loophole, and will they end up sending Sancho back to us? Could well happen, because he's in the last 10 games. I said yesterday it was 20 games. Sorry, apologies, got that completely wrong. 10 games, the last 10 games, he hasn't had a goal or an assist. He has played a certain amount of minutes to at least be able to register something. He hasn't played well. I think he's going to come back, and yeah, that would be interesting to see. If they will have to pay a fine on that, but unfortunately that means we will still have him on our books and we'll still be trying to find a way to sell him. And the fact that he's not performing well is very frustrating. Where Anthony, on the other hand, is actually playing really well for Betis. He is flying at the minute, and with a little bit of luck, he stays fit, does well to the end of the season. Maybe they even win the Conference League, and he will potentially hold his value, and we'll be able to sell him, and we won't make much money on him, but at least we can break even, and I think we can recoup a little bit of money on him, which would potentially, I don't even know if that money would go back into the actual transfer kitty. That money may go to pay off all the other debts that we have, including servicing the debt for the overall debt that we currently have. I can't think of the words that I'm trying to get out, but you kind of get the gist of where I'm going with that. Okay, so let me know your thoughts. Is there anyone there that you'd like to keep? Anyone there that you'd like to stay? Anyone else that's on that list that you'd like to let go? Yeah, fire them in at me. And we'll move on to the next story, and this is where Manchester United are exploring a double sort of swoop in the South American market. Juan Guimaraes and Tobias Ramirez, who are both young centre-backs. This is, information that's coming out. This is news. This is Manchester United looking at the South American market properly now. We had done many years ago, whenever we brought in Fabio and Rafael da Silva, who were good signings for Manchester United. They weren't world beaters, but they helped the club move forward. I always remember the game against Arsenal. The two of them played centre midfield and played Arsenal off the park. We beat them many years ago. It was unbelievable. But it's been a long time since we actually looked at the South American market. We are looking at it now because there's a lot of talent there. And hopefully, if one of these centre backs comes in, maybe both of them come in at reasonable prices, we can move forward with that. But we always have to be sort of keep a close eye on the fact that it can't just always be youth. There are more young players. We can't have too many young players. But I've talked about that plenty in the past, so I shall move on to the next story. And we'll look at what Professor Rob Wilson has talked about on how Manchester United are going to maybe rename the stadium. And I suspect we will see the stadium called the Snapdragon New Trafford. They'll probably generate Manchester United in the region between 50 and 60 million a year if the modelling is done correct. The reality is Snapdragon have been a huge uptick in exposure as consequences of being in partnership with Manchester United, and that's even against on-field performances which have been worse than mediocre. So obviously Snapdragon have found that being sort of associated with Manchester United with the sponsorship has helped them raise their profile, and if they were to have the naming rights of the stadium, that would make Manchester United a lot of money. It would bring money into the club. I don't know whether it's helped service the debt, whether it's helped build a stadium. I'm not entirely sure how that money would be used, but it would generate a lot of profit for the club. How do you feel about that? We're going to have a potentially new name. I don't like that. We're going to be sponsored by somebody. I'm not a massive fan of that, but I realize times are changing. We have to do something. And the way the Glazers have run this into the ground, it's maybe left us with very little choice. We don't have to like it. I don't. But that's where we are with that one. We'll move on to what Kieran Maguire had to say. And he talks about how Manchester United are going to do this. And he said it will be a combination of borrowing. I think you're going to have to get money from some of the shareholders. And this is, so Kieran Maguire has done a video on it. It's well worth checking out. I don't have it to hand, but he has talked about how Manchester United are going to finance it. It could be borrowing. It could be, borrowing from the banks. It could be independent sort of loans. It could be hedge funds. There are sort of multiple ways that Manchester United could go about this. I think they just have to find the best way and the quickest way to do it that isn't going to cause the club massive problems for the on-field side of things, as in we need money available for the squad. And we'll go on and listen to what Omar Barada had to say about the actual stadium itself.
Absolutely. So I actually think that the fact that we're going to be aiming to build a 100,000 capacity stadium will give us more opportunities to bring in more fans. So the core fans that have been supporting the club for years, coming to all the matches, we will be able to accommodate for them, obviously, but also for fans that can only come once a year or once every few years. And I think that's the beauty of being able to build a new stadium, is that we'll be able to create more opportunities for all types of fans to come in and to enjoy this the experience at an iconic stadium.
So there you've got Omar Barada talking about how Manchester United are going to, what the 100,000 seater stadium, how it's going to work. So it looks like they're going to have, now whether this actually happens or not is another story, but it looks like from what he's saying, they have a certain amount of seats that are going to be for the match going fans, and then there's going to be the sort of hardcore regulars, and then there's going to be a certain amount of kind of seats available for fans like potentially you and me, maybe that, obviously I live here now, but I used to travel over to the games and go to the games, and it looks like maybe some of those seats are going to be available for people to, kind of have those seats available within 100,000 for them. Oh, I can imagine that. Who knows what way the ticket pricing is going to go? That's going to probably be out soon enough. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think in a 100,000 seater stadium is a good idea to kind of operate the way they're doing? Get your thoughts and comments in below. If you're enjoying the content, guys, please drop me a subscribe and like. That would be absolutely fantastic. Bottom right hand corner of the screen for the subscribe. And there is one more story. Sorry, I was going to wrap it up there. Apparently tonight at the game against Real Sociedad, the atmosphere is going to be spot on, and this is coming from Andy Bin, and the Red Army have got something special planned for the Stretford End tonight. Now, in this story, it talks about, it's not a form of pyrotechnics, but there is kind of going to be kind of smoke canisters that are going to be released to create a massive atmosphere within the stadium. Apparently, it's been agreed by the club and the Red Army, and everything seems to be sort of in tune to do this tonight. And I think it's just, we want to try and get everybody up for this game. Our season hinges on this game tonight, because we go out of this, the rest of the season is just null and void. It's absolutely pointless. All we're fighting for is to move into the top end of part of the season, the top half of the league. God, get your words out. Anyway, I just think that everything falls on this game tonight. We just need these boys to go out and actually have a blast. Give everything for the jersey. I know a lot's been said in the press, and I heard Nicky Butt talking on Talk Sport about his devastation about some of the people that have lost their jobs at Manchester United. I just hope there's some kind of the club can be galvanized by just this trophy and just giving the fans and the supporters something to believe in between now and the end of the season, because we need something to hold on to. And I just hope we can hold on to this trophy. It isn't going to fix our problems. It will help us a little bit in the summer. It puts a plaster over the wound, and that wound is absolutely gaping at the minute. But yeah, we just need something to hold on to, and hopefully this trophy can be, at least we let's try and advance tonight. So fingers crossed, everything crossed, that we can just find a way to galvanize the team. All these players come together, put in one last hurrah between now and the end of the season in the Europa League, and then try and do something in this trophy. But thank you very much, guys, for listening. I'm Keith, and yeah, as I said, if a like and subscribe would be absolutely amazing, and I will see you tomorrow. And that's your 10-minute roundup. Thanks, guys.